Welcome to another episode of State of the Wizards. This is episode 50. I'm your host, D. Can, along with my co-host, K. Jose, and we are the voices of the unheard. Tonight, we have our guy from Locked On Wizards, Brandon Scott, with us. B. Scott, what's good, bro?
Hey, how y'all doing, man? Chilling. Hey, 50 episodes, man. Much deserved. Expected a lot more, man. You know, I look forward to being on here for number 100, 150, 200. Let's get it.
Man, we really appreciate you being on here for our 50th anniversary, man. For real. Like 50, I said 50th anniversary, 50th episode anniversary. But we really appreciate you coming on and chopping it up with us tonight.
Oh, it's all up, man. Like I said, we talked, man, and I mean, we recognized real quick, right? I mean, from day one, man, you guys were my go-to, man. So, like I said, much deserved, man. Much deserved.
What you got,
we
KO?
appreciate that.
How's everything, man?
Well, everything is cool, man. You said 50th anniversary. I'm like, damn, 50th anniversary ain't that kind of party
now. Nah, it might be this talk, and I ain't even gonna lie to you.
Oh, okay. Oh. You ain't got none of that Diddy juice up in there, do you?
Whoa,
nah, bro. Whoa. So, nah.
Hey,
no Diddy at all. So tonight, man, we're just gonna do things a little different. We're just gonna chop it up with you, man. Sit back, take a couple of sips for our 50th. You know what I'm saying? And you know, at the same time, we'll ask you a couple of questions here and there. Of course, some things that we want to talk about, and we definitely want to, get your opinion on. All right. So you guys are not gonna want to miss this one. People stay locked in with us all episode. Coming up next on State of the Wizards. All right, before we get started, this is your first time tuning into the channel. Thank you. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I won't even go through all of that because guess what? It's the 50th it's the 50th episode. Why I keep saying anniversary?
that glass, man.
Look, it's the 50th episode. But look, at the end of the day, man, we're here to enjoy ourselves. This is what it's all about. So first question that I have for you tonight, B. Scott, how you dealing with getting through these Wizards losses in a challenging year, my brother?
It ain't easy, man. But I'll say this: to kind of keep your sanity a little bit, man. The young players, watching them kind of grow has been the biggest thing I like, man. I mean, Bilal, year two, you see him breaking out offensively, man. Last year, you saw a guy that defensively was a dog, but offensively very raw, man. You know, had a long way to go, but it shows that with proper work ethic, he put the time in. This offseason, he worked the tail off. He worked hard, man. Now you see a guy who's less hesitant to take that 3-point shot. He added a mid-range. He's money on the mid-range. He's attacking the basket, improved ball handling. And, you see a little bit of leadership, man, because he's a guy who, along with Jordan Poole, out there talking to these young guys, Keyshawn George, Alex Sarr, and Bub Carrington, man. So, year two for this guy to formally break out year two shows you not only how high his ceiling is, but, looking at head coach, Brian Keefe gets the most out of these guys, man. So, that's kind of how I get through this, man, outside of whiskey, of course. But, you kind of look at these players, man, like you look at them, what can they be down the road, right? And once you see these guys starting to eat and play hard, like Keyshawn George, I mean, look, we got him with the 24th overall pick. And when he got starter minutes, man, he was a dog. I mean, he was shooting some, lights out from three. Bub Carrington, I mean, you see the floor general potential with him. I mean, he's a dog, man. And then Alex Sarr, people were ready to call him a bust at the 5 some of these games, man. But he's shown that with proper development, he's going to get there. He's a little too reliant on that jump shot a little bit, man. But, once he learns how to play with his back to the basket, learn some counter moves, learn some post moves, man, he'll be just fine.
What you got, K. Jose? How you dealing with it, bro?
How I get through it. How I'm dealing with it, man. I do a little bit of everything, man. I look at what talent we can get in the draft. I look at the standings. Okay, let's see where we at. And then I more so just look at the young guys. This whole season, it's always been about the young guys as far as development. So I'm liking what I'm seeing from the young guys. Don't really be too concerned about the vets. just looking at what Bilal has been doing, what Sarr is doing right now, like Brandon said, people was giving him a lot of shit during the offseason, but now you're seeing that his defense is elite. Keyshawn George is actually surprising the hell out of me. I wasn't expecting that out of him. And Bub Carrington, he's surprising me as well. So one thing I can say is that we at least have 3 players on this team, these young guys that are, I'm going to just be frank, that are not pussies. And that's Bub, Bilal, and Keyshawn George. And we need more of it because it's going to lead to something else later on in this episode.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, how I'm dealing with it.
Sometimes I have some of this.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't need that. Look.
Exactly. And I was just about to say, bro, you got to raise your glass. Let's all just raise our glass to the season, man, because this is exactly what you're going to need for the season to get through it. But for those people that don't drink, yeah, I don't know how y'all getting through it. But
I know how some of them getting through it, but we ain't gonna talk about that.
Yeah, there's alternative means, right? I mean, look.
Yeah, it's the other substance that they probably using.
Oh man, look. I guess my thing is, man, I guess for the Wizards fan base, we need to know what it feels like to be at the very bottom, I guess, because we've been middling for so long that, being at the bottom is really a real humble experience. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So I think that feels like at least once, you know what I'm saying? Because we're so used to switching out the chairs, but keeping the same table around. You just get tired of middling. You just get tired of that. So for once, it is good to see that this team is building from the ground up. You're drafting the right players. You're seeing the improvement. You're seeing the development. I just want to see this thing continue to grow. And I don't know how you feel about it, B. Scott, but I feel like, that brings something to the table for us this season in the losing season. At least when you're middling, it's tough because you're like, where do you go from here? But when you're at the bottom, the only thing that you can say is, well, the only way now is up. Am I right or wrong about that?
No, you're 100% right. I mean, let me tell you, man, when I say they're building it from the ground up, they're literally building it from the ground up because, I listened to Malcolm Brogdon talk, man, and he said, look, they asked my opinion on weight equipment and they started buying and bringing in weight equipment. It's like, bro, why they didn't have no weight equipment? Like, it really makes you question how bad it was for them, man, because, now you got to revamp scouting department. We were notoriously known as a bad scouting team, man. I mean, if you look at Ernie Grunfeld, man, he went after the hot, either, the names in the draft or he went after foreign, prospects who didn't really pan out. I mean, Jan Vesely, you could argue that Jan Vesely probably could have been a decent player if we had the right people, as far as development on staff.
Yeah, for development.
But that's the thing, though. We didn't have all the right pieces in place. You can't scout if you can't develop. You can't develop if you can't scout. You know what I mean? So you got to have both of those departments in tow if you want to really get the most out of young players, man. So, like I said, when you saw Bilal, you saw a guy that's really raw, but now you see what he can be down the road. I mean, brother's a dog. I mean, he's a straight dog. Now he's starting to talk junk. I mean, I forget who he got into it with, man, but he got into it with a few people. Bub got into it with a few people. These young guys are hungry. They got attitudes. They got a chip on the shoulder. They're trying to show people that, look, they're trying to be here for a while. They're trying to put the league on notice that, look, and another thing to look at, man, when I talk to Will Dawkins, man, it's like the biggest thing, the vision for him and Michael Winger is they don't want us to build a playoff team. They want to build a sustainable championship team. They want to build it from the ground up, establish that culture, the culture of playing hard, playing to win. They're trying to build a championship team. And, if you look at the last couple of eras, man, Gilbert Arenas and John Wall, we never made that final piece to really make it a championship team. We were a good playoff team, yeah. But, in the case of John Wall, they should have went out there and got that Klay Thompson. Should have went out there and got that Paul George, and they never did. So now, if you look at the draft pick situation, it's kind of the two sides of the coin, right? On the one side, you definitely want to acquire all the young talent you can through the draft. That's why draft picks come through. But the second reason is once we get, start to develop these young guys and start being a good team, you need these draft picks to go get that one big piece to really be the cherry on top and really make it us contending teams. Because if you look at, Donovan Mitchell, it took a lot of assets to get him. The same thing, these marquee guys are really, push the team over the top. You need those draft picks. So Will Dawkins, man, I mean, we finally got adults in the building. No Tommy Shepard, no Ernie Grunfeld, no missing on draft picks, giving away first round picks for players that we don't even re-sign, Bogdanovich, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's refreshing to have a general manager who, is not too reliant on analytics, but knows how to go out here and scout players, knows how to look at the intangibles of what makes up a good player. You know what I mean? So we're heading in the right direction. It's going to take time. And I get it because we haven't won a championship since 1978. I wasn't even born yet. So I understand that we've been through Gilbert Arenas. We saw how we fell short there. We went through John Wall. We fell short there. So I get why people are really itching, man, because you see small market teams, and we're not really a small market team, but we've had a small market mind frame for the last 20 years where, if they would have treated this as a major market, we would have had a championship, but we treat it as a small market. Golden State is one example where you build through the draft, and then when it's time to go get that Andre Iguodala, to go get that Wiggins, then you make that move, and then there you go. So we're definitely in the right direction, man.
What you got, Kayos?
Man, he was preaching. I mean, he was preaching. I'm drink to that for a
Yeah, I'm about to take me a sip too,
everything
man.
he said, man. Yeah, man, he's preaching. Everything he said, that Brandon Scott said, I agree with. I mean, we finally got some adults. We finally got people that know how to scout, that knows how to draft, that we're trying to build an identity. We just talked about the guys that have a dog in them. Like I said, these guys are not pussies. It's cool to have guys that are good character guys like your Ottos, but can they win you basketball games? And, it's a good feeling. When have we ever talked about an actual rebuild? We've never really seen it. So we're actually getting a chance to see it. And, when we actually start winning ball games, this right here, we won't be doing that anymore unless we're doing it for a championship. So I'm very satisfied with what Will Dawkins is doing. It's a little painful, but it's going to pay off in the long run. So I'm pretty happy. Like I said, I have no complaints.
I'm right there with both of y'all, man. I just love their mindset. I think for once we can be proud of that. Yes, we're not winning ball games, but we can be proud of all of the proper steps that the front office is taking to get us to where they want to be. We're so used to seeing all these different pieces be thrown into a pot and say, go out on the basketball court and go play. Yeah. Now we actually have a clear and concise strategy to build a team. And look, the jury's still out on a lot of these young guys. We understand that. But that's what this season's about. It's about development. It's about seeing these players improve. And then, Bilal took the step. He took the jump this year after 1 year. Under Ernie Grunfeld, Tommy Shepard, we probably don't see this type of jump for at least 5 or 6 years.
Oh yeah.
Right. So
absolutely.
Like you said, with the whole Jan Vesely thing, you make a very good point. That's just a product of the failure of development. Bilal is a product of the success of development. Yeah. So when you can clearly see the distinction and the differences between one regime under one regime, how the players react, how the players respond, versus how the players react and respond in the other regime, you're on the right track, regardless of if we're winning ball games or not. You want to see the players develop. We didn't see that with Jan Vesely in his second year. Shit, I mean, I'm a big Rui guy. I'm a big Denny guy. I hated to see those guys go, but we weren't really seeing that development either in their second. We didn't see no jump from them in their second year like Bilal's doing, right? Bilal's shooting career high numbers. Granted, Rui improved, yes, but it wasn't like a drastic jump. Denny improved, but look how long it took. It took Denny a full 5 years before we finally saw that improvement. So you get my point. The point is that with this regime, we really are taking all the right steps to move in the right direction.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you brought up a good example with the Tommy Shepard picks, man. It's not that they were bad picks. is that they didn't fit the timeline. I mean, you had to develop these guys, and at the time, we had Bradley Beal, we had Kyle Kuzma, we had KP. We needed guys to come in and produce right away. Denny had to be developed. Rui had to be developed. You know, Johnny Davis, Lord have mercy, he's still developing. I mean, these guys had to be developed, and we didn't have the atmosphere that I mean, it's too easy, man. But I mean, even though Johnny's playing good, but I mean, they had to be developed, and we needed guys that needed to be automatic impact guys. You look at Bilal, like I said, on draft night. At first, I'm gonna be honest with you. Cam Whitmore was the guy I was looking at, but Cam Whitmore's the guy. He's ready to roll now. He fits what Houston's trying to do. Houston's at a point now where they're trying to ramp up and really challenge in the West. So he fits that, their timeline in their system. He wouldn't fit here. You know what I mean? And Bilal fits here because we can mold him to our system. And he's easily coachable. So that's another thing I like about Bilal is that he wants to learn. He wants to get better. He's a guy who listens to the vets. He's a guy that's easily, you can easily learn and he's easily teachable. So he's raw, but look, like I said, year 2 already you're starting to see what he can do offensively. That really makes you wonder what is his ceiling, because I think he's a star in my opinion. And you add the 3 guys in this year's draft. Keyshawn George is a dog. Bub Carrington, man, is a dog. I mean, Alex Sarr, yes, we need to toughen that man up a little bit. He's still a little finesse.
He got a little bark. He got a
he got that little Chihuahua bark, man. But we need the pit bull come out. You know what I'm saying?
Right. We need the pit bull. We know it's in there, but that's what we need to see.
Oh, absolutely. So I mean, hit the nail on the head. These guys fit the timeline. And then you add other guys I call them gray area guys, Jordan Poole, Sadiq Bey, and Corey Kispert, where it's kind of in a situation where you can see them being future pieces. But then if their trade value goes up, like right now, don't be surprised if Jordan Poole gets some interest. I have a good authority, man, that look, there's about 5 teams looking at it right now. Like there's teams looking at Jordan Poole right now because they're looking at certain factors. Number one, he took a lot of criticism last year and he kept on working. He was reverted to 6 man, did well. Tyus went down. He started. He played well. And then he came into the season. He worked his tail off all season, came in focused, said all the right things, and he's playing at the all-star level. Now, obviously, he's contingent on team performance. So the team performance is going to keep him from getting an all-star berth. But look, he's getting a lot of interest. So don't be surprised if he's on the move. Corey Kispert is another guy who could be on the move. Because if they're willing to trade a 23-year-old Denny Avia, you best believe they're going to trade Jordan Poole. They're going to trade Kyle Kuzma. You're going to trade a lot of these guys because Will Dawkins is going to flip a lot of these guys because he wants all the draft picks he can get.
Absolutely. And man, I agree too. So let's move on. B. Scott, let's go. And I mean, I'm tired of asking the question, what's your expectations for next game? Because our expectations versus the Celtics tomorrow night is a loss.
It's gonna be a long night, man. It's gonna be a long night. But I'll say this: it's kind of a football term, but any given Sunday, right? They have a bad shooting night. If we played hard, if we really hold fast to that mantra of playing hard, playing to win, we can stink them. I mean, if they have an off shooting night, I'm not saying what I mean, but I want to see some fight. I know there's gonna be a massive talent gap, man. I mean, KP's out, but they still are loaded on that roster, man. I just want to see some fight. Fight them and play them hard, man. Because if you truly want to be enforced in the next 3 to 4 years, you got to beat these type of teams, man. And it starts right now. It don't start next year. It don't start in 2 years. The culture starts now. You want to people. You want to people. I'm all those P's, man. You want to put people on notice because look, Draymond Green on his podcast, he had good things to say about Bub Carrington and Keyshawn George, man. And even Jordan Poole, he said, "Look, they bullied me the entire game. They were talking junk at me. I mean, people know about this young squad. You look at 20. I always call the 2025 NBA draft the final touch because I truly believe that when you take Bilal Coulibaly and these 3 draft picks from this year, you add an Ace Bailey or a Cooper Flag or even a Dylan Harper. Come on now. I mean, this is going to be a young team and it's going to be a really good team. And all we need is that chemistry. I mean, 2026. I don't even think we're going to be in a position to get Cam Booz in 2026 because I think we're going to be a much improved team. And like I said, we'll see about these gray area guys, man, because Sadiq Bey, we don't know truly what to expect out of him. He's been hurt. Jordan Poole, like I said, Jordan Poole is a guy where, he wants to be here. He's much loved by the organization, but look, man, I mean, he's putting a lot of people on notice right now. A lot of people are looking at what he's doing.
K. Jose, before you say anything, let me just piggyback off something you said, B. Scott. You said the chemistry, man, and I just have to really highlight this point. That was a great point. The chemistry this season is the highlight. That's all we care about. That's why when
Mm-hmm.
Kuzma came back, it rubbed a lot of Wizards fans the wrong way, because we saw the
Right.
cohesiveness and the chemistry that the young guys were building. Then when
Yeah.
Kuz comes back, look, Kuz, it's not personal. It's just business. It's how things go. You know, like we just noticed that the chemistry wasn't there anymore. You know, and then there were young guys
Mm-hmm.
that really fell back a little bit. So you made an excellent point there, man. I just wanted to say that the chemistry is the focal point number one. But go ahead, K Jose. My bad, man.
Yeah, I mean, the chemistry is definitely one of them. I'm actually liking that, because these players are actually playing for one another, and you just addressed the elephant in the room. Once Bulletproof came back, it just changed, and we talked about it on the last podcast. As far as good behaviors, good habits, he came in and we start seeing bad habits, so we can't have that. But as far as tomorrow night's game, man, all I'm gonna say is just tell the Celtics to use a rubber. That's all I'm gonna say, man. just use a condom. That's it, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long night, man.
We know what's gonna happen. It's gonna be a long night. Just use protection.
Oh man.
I mean,
Yeah.
I can't sit there and say don't try not to get blown out, because we've been getting blown out. So I mean, just use a condom. That's all I'm gonna say.
Man, it's wild, because like we've really gotten to that point. Like, Matt Moderno, I think, didn't even do a post game. He was like, yeah, ain't no need to even talk about the Knicks game. Like, that's how you know it's bad, bro. When you can't even touch on certain parts of the game, it's very, very difficult to even talk about. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, well, what are we going to say that's any different? A loss is a loss. What did the guys not do well tonight? It's the same old, same old. It becomes very repetitive, and don't nobody want to hear a bunch of repetitive bullshit, right? But at the end of the day, like, I mean, shit, like, we got to find something positive even in these losses to talk about, because that's how long of a season it's gonna be. Games are gonna go, and I think for me, just to wrap this topic up, is I think a lot of people just kind of focus more on Brian Keefe and what his and how he's been doing as a coach. B Scott, just tell me real quick, man. What's your assessment of his adjustments, in-game adjustments, and how he's been handling the lineup situation, since some of the vets have come back?
He's got a tough job, man. I'm gonna tell you why. Because he's kind of in the same position Wes Unseld Jr. was, even though I think we all know Wes was better as an assistant coach than head coach. But I mean, because he's got to showcase these vets, and then in the same time, he's got to find ways to develop this young talent, and that's hard to do because you got to satisfy two different crowds, and they have two different expectations. But kind of getting back to Kyle Kuzma, there's a clear difference with his attitude this year. Opening night, man. There's an example. My wife brought it up to me. The introductions. Everybody runs to the court. Everybody's ready to roll. Who's the one walking? Who's the one that has this man on his face? Kyle Kuzma. Yeah. I mean, these young look. I'm saying right now, there's a little friction in the locker room. There's a little friction because when he came back, people are like, what can we expect? Because when he was out with injury, there was ball movement. Like they played as a team. Like these kids were playing hard. They were playing to win. And when he came back, it's like, man, you cannot shoot the ball 28 times a night and then expect young guys to get better. I mean, it's this carefree, iso ball attitude. And people are like, dude, we're trying to do something here. And like I said, Bub is a guy where he's going to call people out. Like, the same thing, Keyshawn George. These two young guys, man, they have no problem calling people out. And like I said, you've seen a lot more leadership from Jordan Poole. And like I said, there's been a few murmurs here and there about some friction going on, man, because I think he knows that the writing's on the wall. One, this is not his team anymore. This is Jordan Poole's team. This is JP13's team. And Bilal Coulibaly is Robin. And it is what it is. Those two, because if you look at their IG accounts, who hangs out? It's always Jordan Poole and Bilal Coulibaly. Bilal said the one guy who took him under his wing was Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole was the one guy. He wasn't even a Wizard, but like a hot 15 minutes. And he was the first guy to call Bilal Coulibaly when he got drafted. So, I mean, the writing's on the wall. It's not his team anymore. And so now he's kind of like, all right, it's hard being the guy and then not being the guy, but then being the guy for a really bad team is not really being the guy. So I mean, I don't know, man. And I think that he needs to accept what it is. You know, he needs to go to a contender and go be that third or fourth option because his time in DC is coming up. I mean, Bilal has shown that he's ready to be more a part of the offense. And so it's just the writing's on the wall. It's just a matter of when at this point. Because I think the front office sees it. Oh, yeah. I mean, the front office sees it. And that's why I'm saying it's not a coincidence. All of a sudden, you're starting to see reports that, oh, now Kyle Kuzma's on the trade block. Because, look, if we know, they know. So, you know, like I said, there's murmurs here and there about a little bit of friction. But I think he just needs to accept it for what it is. Jordan Poole has put the time in, man. You know, he's stepped up to be that leader in the locker room. And he put the work in the offseason. You know, he's not going on vacation. He's not doing this and this and this. He's in the gym putting in work, man. You want to be the best, you got to be the best. All right, I'm going to throw an example real quick before we move on. All right, you guys watch The Last Dance, man. We're all old heads here, right? You remember the Piston years with the Chicago Bulls. The 1 year, the first year that Phil Jackson was the coach, they lost to the Detroit Pistons. What's the first thing they did? They didn't go on vacation. The next day, they got in the gym and started working, man. That's what you want to see. Put that work in, because if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best, man. And they did that. So that's what I'm saying. Like when they attack teams like Boston or Indiana, I want to see them play them hard, because this is your adversary down the line, and especially Indiana, man, because they're a young squad. So that's going to be one potential roadblock for us in the future anyway. So it's all about culture, man. Brian Keefe has done his thing. Will Dawkins is finding the talent, and now these players are responding. This is a nice young team. They're going to, look, there's a talent gap, but we're in the right direction. I mean, 2025, I'm very excited about that draft, man, because after that, you're going to start to see dividends with this team.
Absolutely. So,
absolutely.
So that brings me to the next topic, K. Jose. Rumors are the Wizards are finally looking to trade Kuz, as Brandon Scott just alluded to, by the trade deadline. There were reports that came out. What type of package are you expecting in return for somebody like Kuz?
As I said, man, I mean, can we even get an EBT card for this guy? I mean, really, can we? I mean, at this point, I would expect that the front office has came to the conclusion that you're going to have to take what you can for this guy. 9 times out of 10, you're going to have to add other pieces to go along with him. To Brandon Scott's point, you could definitely tell there's some type of a disconnect. Even with some of the post-game comments that Kuzma's saying, it's like the Bradley Beal shit all over again with some of the stuff he's saying. So what kind of package? Just at this point, I don't even care what we get in return. Just get this dude up out of here. It doesn't even matter anymore. He's overstayed his welcome. I don't understand why he opened up that restaurant out there in Gainesville. You might as well close that damn thing down. I mean, it's just get him the hell out of here, man. My car's already gassed up. I've been ready to take him to the airport. Get him the fuck out of here. I don't care what we get.
Well, then. So, B. Scott, based off of the things that you, I guess, saw or hearing, how much stock do you put into these rumors about Kuz being dealt by the deadline? Remember, we've heard shit like this before, but how much stock do you actually put into these rumors?
Oh man, a lot of stock, because you didn't see the progress from Bilal like you did this year. You have a clear replacement now. The 4, I think there's options that you can put at the 4, man, because we've seen, look, Keyshawn George played the 4 and did well, so there's options there. So no, there's a lot of smoke to the fire, man, because like I said, you saw emergence of Bilal, so you have a guy who can definitely shoulder more of the offensive load. Jordan Poole, leadership-wise, you have that leader in the locker room. You have that face of the franchise, at least for the next 2 to 3 years. You know what I mean? So the writing's on the wall. I mean, the rest of the league has seen it. And like I said, body language tells you all you need to know. We saw with Bradley Beal. I mean, he had the worst body language ever. And, and that's the one thing people forget that, I think that tarnished his legacy, in my opinion, as far as Bradley, because, look, when he was in the same backcourt as John Wall, he was much loved. I mean, I was a big fan of him, but when you're sitting there chopping it up with Jason Tatum, man, and you're getting blown out by 30, that rubs people the wrong way. And you don't really want to see that body language from the supposed face of your franchise, man. So, Kyle Kuzma is just, I don't understand why you would be upset, though, if I'm Kyle Kuzma, because, bro, let's be real. Like, I think confidence is a hell of a thing, but you know what your capabilities are, man. Like, you're the face of a franchise that is a sorry team. Like, we're bad. I mean, you're a number 1 option of a lottery team. Like, you know what I'm saying? So let's call a spade a spade. Like, when you go to most teams in this league, he's a 3rd or 4th option, maybe 5th, depending on the team. I mean, let's
Yeah.
just be real. It's time. We're going year
Yeah.
2 of a rebuild. We need to flip all these vets and start really with the youth movement, man. Because, like I said, watch in 2 years from now, this team's gonna be dangerous, man. You know, we got dogs. We don't have choir boys in this team no more, man. We got legit dogs. We got guys who are ready to fight, man. So
Yeah.
the writing's on the
Yeah,
wall,
I mean,
man.
they're gonna grow. They're definitely gonna grow even into more, I guess, ferocious type of dogs.
Yeah.
At the same time, like they're dogs now, and we see that they're just pups, but they got to bite. They got to bark to them, and then they eventually gonna have a bite to them. And I think that's kind of how I look at it. That, you know, we see it already. Other veterans see it, because Draymond Green, to your point, which you alluded to, even talked about it. You know, these guys are talking shit out there, you know, to me on the back. You guys still there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we here.
Yeah, I think these young guys. You guys still there?
Yes, sir.
Hey, you guys still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, my
we
bad.
still here.
You know, okay. These young guys, man, I think they really want to change the culture, right? I think that's what you're seeing. So when we're talking about the issues in the locker room, you have a group of young guys that are trying to change the culture, but then you have this vet that's like, who you guys think you are coming in here trying to change what I've already established? And truth is, you know, Kuz, you haven't established shit. Let's just call it what it is. Like, you were here during the Tommy Shepard regime where you guys were trying to make something out of nothing.
Yep.
Bill, we sent Bill off. You really should have left around the same time if we keeping it all the way in, you know, a stack. So that's kind of how I see it. I just see it that, you know, the young guys really have an investment into changing the culture, and Kuz is in the way of that.
Absolutely.
No, I agree 100%, man.
Absolutely.
No, I think there's options in the trade market. I'm saying one team I'm looking at, honestly, and I'm gonna cover this up coming up, man. Utah Jazz. That's one team I would definitely look at, because if you look at salaries, yeah, man. John Collins.
Yeah.
I mean, John Collins, he has a player option, so that may be a little tricky. But even then, I mean, look, where did he go to college? Utah. So he knows the dynamics. Look, it ain't easy playing in Utah, man. That's a tough spot to play. Yeah. So, you know, so look, we have options, but, you know, going back to asking price, look, brothers, you ain't getting 2 first-round picks. It ain't happening. Right. I think they're definitely bringing that price down. Exactly. It ain't happening. I'm looking at pretty much a first-round pick and a young player and or an expiring contract. You know, but you're not going to get 2 first-round picks, because the inefficiency is what hurts you. You know, you cannot shoot the ball 28 times a night and with this carefree ISO ball attitude, man. It's just, and there's frustrations. You see it. You know, look at Keyshawn Jordan. He has been practically unplayable the last 2 games. I mean, I don't even think he's scored. Has he even scored a point the last 2 games? I mean,
I don't believe so.
You go from, you know, knocking back like 12 3-pointers to now you don't even have a point. I mean, that's a problem. And you can imagine that's going to take a hit on his confidence, man. So
you just hate to see any setback, basically. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
So K Jose, did you have one last thing before we wanted to wrap this segment up and move on to what it is that I'm sure you would love to talk about?
Well, just real quick, I mean, just to piggyback on what he said as far as Keyshawn George, I think it was one particular game, I'm not too sure who it was, where Kyle Kuzma turned the ball over and got mad at Keyshawn George for the turnover. I'm like, dude, you did that. What you getting mad at him for? So I think the worst thing that could happen for Kuz is for these young guys to actually not have a huge learning curve. He was used to Denny. He was used to Rui. He was used to Corey Kispert. But now you got some of these young guys who doesn't have a huge learning curve as he was expecting. And, I mean, it's pretty obvious. You know, he knew that his time here was up. And I think he has a problem with that. And sometimes I think he's trying to even sabotage his value. But it's like, man, look, you know, just be a professional, you know, and just do your job. You're going to go somewhere else where you can win. But being a bitch about it is it's not the way.
God damn. What's in your glass, bruh?
I know, right?
What the hell's in that glass tonight?
That's some cognac,
All right.
my brother.
Okay, some cognac.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
That's what's up. That's what's up. All right, so we're gonna move on. So B. Scott, the State of the Wizards age-old debate about Cooper Flag or Ace Bailey. Who are you selecting at number one if you get the first overall pick?
Oh man, that's a hard choice, man, because Cooper Flag can ball, but let me tell you about Ace Bailey, man. I mean, he can easily overtake Cooper Flag for that number one spot. I was just watching highlights before I got on here, man. Ace Bailey is a dog, natural scorer. I mean, he attacks the basket. I mean, puts people on posters. I mean, you can imagine him and Bilal in the same lineup. I mean,
That'd be crazy.
I mean, we have the biggest thing is we have options, man. And that's what I'm saying. That if you look at this draft, yeah, you got Cooper Flag and a few other power forwards, man. But this is a 2-guard and wing heavy draft, man. So I'm looking at Ace Bailey. I'm looking at Dylan Harper. I'm looking at VJ is another guy. I mean, there's options here, man. And it's not to say we can't add another piece here. But look, Golden State's another team to look at. I mean, Jonathan Kuminga didn't pick up his option, man, and they did not come to an agreement on a contract extension. He's a defensive-minded player who is starting to break out offensively. You throw Jonathan Kuminga in a lineup with Alex Sarr and Bilal Coulibaly, and then you go and get another guy in this draft coming up. Come on now. I mean, we have opportunities to really build this team sooner. Look, this rebuild that had to take forever. And I think that's really what the Wood Dawkins company's at, man, because don't forget, there's pressure from above. Ted Leonsis is only willing to go through so long in the rebuild. We know how it is, man. I mean, and with Bradley Beal, with John Wall, he wants that playoff revenue. And so he wants his team to be that team a lot sooner than later, man. So we'll see. I think we have a lot of options. Jonathan Kuminga could be a good move. So I see us very, very active at the trade deadline and picking up another piece. And like I said, 2025 is the finishing touches.
Yeah. And before K Jose responds, I just wanted to say that you make a good point as well with the idea of flipping this roster over, excuse me, around the trade deadline, where you have a bunch of young pieces setting it up for, the draft pick this summer. And then next thing you know, you already have exactly what you're looking for going into obviously next season and the years beyond, because now you have a squad full of young talent and your core is pretty much set at that point. But K Jose, go ahead and chime in, bro.
Yeah, I mean, as I told you earlier, DK, and I'm gonna say it on here. I've changed my stance when it comes down to Ace Bailey. I said if we won the number one draft pick, you draft him and you don't even think twice about it. You take him number one, get your favorite beverage, sip your cigar, and say, "Job well done." I like Cooper Flag. I like him a lot, but what I'm seeing out of Ace, with the turnaround fadeaway, I'm seeing KD light. I'm seeing a little bit of T-Mac when he's dunking the ball. It's a lot. I see the cockiness in him. What got me sold is when he told Giannis, he said, "This is what I'm going to be doing against you next season." I said, "Oh, man, get this kid. I mean, that's what we need." And he's elite. So as I said on the Chocolate City Hoops podcast, I said, man, could you just imagine him and Bilal together? You got Bub running the break. You got Bilal on one side. You got Ace on the other side. I mean, that's something we haven't seen. So I'm going to say it this way. Yes, I'm saying it again. If we got the number one pick, you take him. All the politically correct stuff, you got to leave that on F Street. Take him at number one and don't think twice.
So I chopped it up. Obviously, I'm not there where you are yet, but I'm leaning that direction. The reason why I'm leaning that direction is clear. The kid has the athletic ability that Cooper Flag is more than likely going to lack in the NBA on a higher level. But my question is, does Will Dawkins see it the same way that we see it? Here's the thing. When Will Dawkins and OKC drafted Chet at number 2, it was said when they drafted him that OKC got their man. Even though Banchero went number 1, Chet was going to go to OKC, whether he was number 1 or number 2. So my question is, does Will Dawkins feel the same way about Cooper Flagg? Because Cooper Flagg is the consensus number 1. So if Ace Bailey goes 1, obviously we go Cooper Flagg. If we get number 1 pick, does he pick Ace Bailey or does he go Cooper Flagg?
Ooh, that's a good question, man. Because I think it really depends on, do we find that fit at the 4? Because if you don't have a guy long term at the 4, you could see Cooper Flagg just because you need a guy to fit in the front court with Alex Sarr. But kind of echoing what K. Jose said, man, is that look, if you look at the Eastern Conference, you have 3 tiers of teams, right? You have teams that are either they're contending now, but they're going to start going downhill. Milwaukee, Milwaukee. I mean, their window's closing, man. I mean, you have the second tier, which you have teams that are trash, but they're going to make that come up within the next 2-3 years. And then you have those real young teams that are going to be in our way, man. Because look at the Eastern Conference. I mean, 76ers. I mean, the window's closing. I mean, MB could be on his way out of town. I mean, let's be real. Paul George made out of paper. I mean, he's talented as hell, man, but he can't stay on the floor. I mean, he just can't stay on the floor. The Raptors, we'll see on the Raptors. The Hornets, they need to go ahead and trade LaMelo and stop playing, man. He's a kid, man. They need more men up in the building up there, man. I mean, Charlotte, I mean, they need to go ahead and trade him. I mean, the Bulls, we'll see. I mean, his brother's still hurt. But, I mean, you guys kind of see where I'm going, man. Like, Indiana's going to be a nice young team. Brooklyn, the jury's still out. Milwaukee's on the way down. Atlanta, they need to go ahead and trade Trae Young. Stop playing. And build around Jalen Johnson and Reese Shea. Stop playing. Detroit, they're on the come up. Miami, they got question marks. Orlando's on the come up. New York's going to be there. Boston's going to be there. And then Cleveland. So, we got to set ourselves up for not where we are now, but where we're going to be at in the next 2-3 years. We want to be one of those premier young teams the next 2-3 years. So, I'm with you. You grab Ace Bailey. You don't even walk. You sprint up to the podium, man, because, Cooper Flagg can ball. And if you don't find that power forward of the future, then maybe you make that move just for fit. But, I mean, if you're looking at best player available, to me, and like I said, no disrespect to Cooper Flagg, man, but to me, Ace Bailey's the best player in this draft. I mean, looking at his tape, looking at his scouting report, looking at his demeanor, looking at his play style, he is a superstar in the making. I'm telling you, the brother can straight out ball, man. So, you grab Ace Bailey straight up.
You know what I like about Ace Bailey's game, man, is that he can hit the shot from all different angles on the floor. Yeah. So, I seen him, hit that fadeaway shot. I'm like, man, so you hitting it from the corner, you hitting it from straight away, you hitting it from you basically hitting all kinds of shots that we know that takes time to even develop. I think there was a report that NBA scouts said no one under 20 is hitting that shot. No one at 20 is hitting that shot. Like I think for me, I'm looking how this kid's already ahead of the curve with a lot of his playmaking ability. What you think, K. Jose?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I looking at it, I'm like the fadeaway that he hit, and of course, I know it was against a no-name school, but he almost hit it from the 3-point range. And maybe that's where people say they see a little bit of Jason Tatum, because Jason Tatum has the tendency to hit them fadeaways from a distance as well. Yeah. So the cockiness, and then I saw what he tweeted earlier today. He was just looking for a Waffle House. There's no Waffle House up there in New Jersey. Well, bro, there's one down there in Dumfries, I mean, why not come here? You can go to the Waffle House as much as you want to. So, again, you take them, you don't think twice about it. I mean, you need an elite wing. When is the last time the Wizards franchise, even the Bullets, have ever had an elite wing? We've never had one. And I'm gonna say this: I see Cooper Flagg going to 2 places. He's either going to go to Brooklyn or he's going to go to Utah. I see him going there. That's more so the reason why I'm talking about Ace Bailey, because I don't think we're going to get the number 1 pick anyway. I think a team like Utah or Brooklyn will get it, and that's where Cooper Flagg is going to go.
So, B. Scott, the reason why we even had this debate in the past was because I had asked Kane almost like K Jose almost like a year ago. Is it going to be Cooper Flag or bust around January? So we started that conversation well before Wizards Twitter even got involved with this debate, right? So do you feel like if the Wizards get the number 1 pick, do you feel like majority of the Wizards fan base is going to be like, it's got to be Cooper Flag? Or do you think that people are going to know enough about Ace Bailey where they're going to say, okay, it's time for this guy to be the consensus number 1 and not Cooper Flag? Because clearly Cooper Flag all the way up through the NCAA tournament, the ACC tournament, he's going to get a lot of the limelight. He's going to get a lot of the shine. So where do you think that conversation, I guess, begins with a lot of people as far as putting Ace Bailey above Cooper Flag?
I think truly people aren't going to really make a choice till the NCAA tournament because that's when the lights are the brightest, right? Like when you're playing Monmouth and these smaller schools, you can't really judge too much, man, because, we all know college ball, man, even college football and basketball, you play, these ramp up games where you play in these smaller schools, you kind of get your team going, man. NCAA tournaments where you see the lights are the brightest, man. That's where you find out the player can really hack it in prime time basketball. So, with Cooper Flag being a Duke, we know Duke is that program where all eyes are on Duke, as opposed to Rutgers, where I'm an old school guy, so I remember Rutgers from Big East days, man. So Rutgers had some ballers, man. So for true basketball heads, Rutgers, but the NCAA tournament is when the stars come to shine. So you definitely want to see both of them, what they can do, not only individually, but how they play as a team under the lights, man. Because look, that's the biggest component we're looking at, man. Basketball's a team sport. How are they alongside other players or like-minded players? Him and Bilal, what could the potential fit be with Ace Bailey and Bilal both being wings? Bilal can play the 2-guard, which really helps out potential fit. You know what I'm saying? So, we have options, man. Like I said, I'm very, very optimistic. This has probably been the most optimistic I've ever been as a Wizards fan, to be honest with you, because, we're not handcuffed by a max contract. We're not handcuffed by bad GM. Right. You know what I mean? We have a legit GM, a legit front office where there's optimism. Like if we go grab a Jonathan Kuminga this year and then go out there and get Ace Bailey, come on. I mean, this team's going to be nice. I mean, we just need experience. That's all we need is experience and chemistry and experience. That's it.
Yeah, and this is what I want to. I agree with you about the tournament, but as I told K Jose earlier, we've seen a lot of players play well in the tournament, and then their game don't translate at all to the pro level. So even if they do get that light shined on them, the brightest at the tournament, it doesn't necessarily mean that that game how they play in the tournament is going to translate to the pro level. Would you agree with that?
Oh, wholeheartedly, 100%. That's why I said it really goes down to how did they perform as part of a team, and really what was the best part of the game. Because you forget, Jimmer Fredette, man, he was blowing people away at the NCAA tournament. Now, where's he playing? I don't even know where he's playing right now. So it's all about how did you make your money? Oh, Shanghai Sharks. There you go. So, I mean, how did you make your money? It's easy to go out there and score, on Monmouth. I hate to keep throwing Monmouth out there. I'm going to use another team, Old Dominion. But, it's all about how did you react to certain things? If you struggled, how did you react to that? Did you keep shooting? Did you get down on yourself? See, that's the thing when you evaluate young players and young men, the biggest thing is confidence and how did they react to certain things? Because, it's easy to evaluate a guy who could drop a 40 piece. His confidence is high, but what happens when his confidence is low? When we saw players like Denny and Bilal, Denny, when his confidence was low, he was unplayable. I mean, he's struggling right now in Portland, and it has a lot to do with confidence, man. What his fit is over in Portland. Bilal, he's got confidence. He's got an environment where they're saying, look, there's no pressure on these players right now. The pressure's on the front office and the head coaching right now. The players, they just go out there and play. And that's why when it was a youth movement, when you saw Keyshawn starting, when you saw Bub and Bilal and Alex starting the same lineup, they played so well together because they were just playing. They didn't have any expectations. They just went out there and played their game. They were having fun, talking junk. And that's what you want to see. You want to see them talking stuff because when's the last time we had a bunch of dogs on this team, man? A bunch of guys ready to throw down. I mean, it's been a long time. It's good to see a legit dog out there are ready to fight.
Absolutely. Hey, Jose, what
very
you got,
long
man?
time. I think like what Brandon was saying, I think when you talk about the tournament, you do look at, okay, if a player is struggling, okay, what else did you do to impact the game? What do you, when the lights are bright, how do you perform? You know, when it's time, can you go out there and get a bucket? Especially if you're the best player on the team. Can your teammates rely on you? Can you carry the team on your back? And to your point, DeCan, we have seen players do that. You know, you can think of Juan Dixon, how good he was at the University of Maryland, but then when he came in the NBA, he wasn't that same player. You talk about Adam Morrison, you have that. But then you take a guy like Anthony Edwards, who came out of the University of Georgia. Like, come on, man. The last time you had a player that came out of the University of Georgia that made an impact in the NBA was Dominique Wilkins. But when you're looking at Anthony Edwards, he's possibly going to become the face of the league. So I'm saying all that to say with Ace Bailey, he has that hunger. He has that drive. He wants to get better. I think he wants to definitely be coach. He fits what Will Dawkins is putting together in DC. Yep. DC is a basketball town. That's what you need. You get him and you don't think twice. You get that kid and you do not think twice about it. Again, keep the politically correct shit out on F Street.
Yeah. And I want to be right there with both of you guys. I'll be there around January. I told K Jose I'm gonna let the season play out a little bit, and then I'll be right there because I'm leaning Ace Bailey. I mean, B Scott, I'm leaning Ace Bailey, right? So
let me reel you in, bro.
Come on over. The water is fine. Come on.
He said the water's fine. I'm reeling you in. I guess my thing is, and then we'll wrap it up here. I guess my thing is we're going to see great seasons from both players. There's going to be a lot of hype surrounding the draft in general. There's going to be other dark horses that they're going to make cases for. That's going to be top 3, top 4, right? So Ace Bailey has to be consistent as well. One great game, he turns around, he has one bad game. Now everybody else is going to be like, oh man, okay, I see the inconsistency. So those stories can change. Same thing for Cooper Flagg. I was telling K Jose earlier, remember that game at that tournament game that Duke had? Cooper Flagg turned the ball over 3 times in the last 2 minutes of that game. So, and what did people start saying at that point? Well, I don't know. This man he ain't really a closer like that. So, I'm just allowing it to play out.
He worked for Pillsbury.
You said what? He worked for Pillsbury, making a bunch of turnovers.
Exactly.
I mean, look, you bring up a good point too, man. Is he coachable though? See, the thing is, when you got these guys who are young men who have been told 100,000 times that you're the best, you can do this, are they coachable? Can they handle criticism? Can they handle the trials and tribulations of that side? A lot of players can't handle. You know what I mean? The struggles, young guy. Can you bounce back from struggling? Can you look, being the face of franchise is hard, man. I mean, it's not an easy undertaking, man. And there's a lot of dynamics to look at with Cooper Flagg. I mean, look, man. I mean, it's Chocolate City. I mean, Cooper Flagg. And that's one factor to look at too. And if you look at that, I mean, you may not think about it. It does matter, man. And then you look at the fact that even within the realm of race, if you look at Caucasian basketball players, they're overtaken by Europeans. I mean, you don't see a lot of like U.S.-born white players who have had high level of success, like Jokic or Doncic, man. Like a lot of your white players now are coming from Europe, man. And the other thing to look at, and kind of jump outside the race too, is that is fundamentals. These European players, man, know the fundamentals of basketball. These guys, they practice more than they play.
That's totally
like, point. And it goes back to the culture here in the U.S. as far as we're really walking away from the fundamentals of basketball, man. Our young players now, they know how to shoot a logo 3 and they know how to do all this fancy stuff, but you'll be surprised how many young players do not know how to use a pivot foot or know how many feet it take driving through the lane. Like,
or know how to set a pick. We've had that issue.
Exactly. I mean, we've walked away from the fundamentals of the game, man. So, a lot of things do matter as far as demographics, certain things, man. And me personally, I don't care if he's purple. If he can ball, he can ball. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care if it's Grimace over there, man. If he can jump, he can jump. You know what I mean? So that's where my head's at, man.
Man say he don't care if he Grimace over there. I mean, ain't that the truth though, man? I mean, I'm telling you, man, the color to me don't matter either. But man, I see all types of stuff on Wizards social media, man. It's crazy what you see. You know, well, he ain't gonna be able to do this, he ain't gonna be able to do that. We know where that energy is coming from is because he's a white player. I mean, let's just call it what it is. But I'm with you. Hey man, this pretty much wraps up this episode of State of the Wizards, B Scott. Did you want to lead off? I mean, did you want to end this episode with a plug?
Nah, I mean, you just catch me over there, Locked On Wizards on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts, man. I'm pretty easy to deal with.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, great points. Great discussion. We got to do it again, you know, like always.
Yes, sir.
Right. So, and we'll even come over there to Locked On, man. Just, you know, let us know when. We'll hop right on. And
anytime, man.
For sure, man. So this wraps up this episode of State of Wiz. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you comment below. We want to hear from you guys. If you follow this, if you listen to this whole episode, also throw that in the comments. We want to know who watched the full episode. We want to say thank you again, and we'll catch you guys on episode 51. Peace.
All right.